All right, welcome back to Dented Cans. I am your host, Mike Fenoya. Thank you guys for joining us again. If you are enjoying this podcast, please rate, review, subscribe, like, all those things. It goes a long way, and it doesn't cost you anything. So do me that solid, ladies and gents. If you want bonus content, if you want uninterrupted full video of these interviews, go to patreon.com/Mike Fenoya, MikeFinoia. Go to youtube.com/Mike Fenoya, MikeFinoia, and subscribe. And check out my special, Don't Let Me Down. All the clicks go so far if you guys only knew. Today on the program, I have my friend, very, very funny, Rich Aronovitch. Follow him at Rich is Funny, RichIsFunny. God, it's such a fun follow. We get deep, quick. We get right down to the bottom of the dented can and work our way up. Rich is a father, an expecting father. We go into the past, his family's past. Anti-Semitism, Holocaust surviving, moving to a whole new country, starting over, dealing with some serious trauma as a child. So it's a heavy episode, but that's what we're here to do, embrace our dents. And Rich is great at it, and I appreciate him for coming and hanging. As always, ladies and gentlemen, our podcast is brought to you by the great Sunset Lake CBD. I love their products, and you will too. Tinctures, salves, oils, smokables, coffee, amazing fudge that they have that's got CBD in it that makes you nice and relaxed and loose for the end of your day. Head to sunsetlakecbd.com and use promo code DENTED, DENTED, for 20% off. That's sunsetlakecbd.com, promo code DENTED for 20% off. Thank you. Chat soon. How you doing?
I think I'm exhausted, which, like, if I get, let's say 7-8 hours sleep,
okay,
there's a loving universe that's going to provide. And if I'm in like 5 to 4 hours, I'm a victim and nothing will work out.
What's keeping you from those 7-8 hours?
Well, I came home later than I expected at I was at the Comedy Cellar last night. Have you heard of it?
No.
And
it's a club that you work quite often, yeah?
It's a club that this is why show business doesn't ever fix the hole. Let's go right into it. Okay, so I thought show business was going to fix the hole, but the line keeps moving. So all I wanted maybe 2.5, 3 years ago was to get into the Cellar. It's all I wanted to get in. I got to get in the Cellar.
Yeah.
Then I get in, and now I'm like, all I want to do is be on TV. Then I got on a TV show, and then I'm up for another one. But it's not the right kind. The line just keeps moving. It's not the right kind of. Okay, now it's network. Okay, it's network, but it's not. Okay, they want me on this one, but they want me to, this. So the line just keeps moving.
Okay.
And I got to tell you, what does fix the hole is when I'm with my son, and that's pure serenity. And I didn't want to have a kid, and it was like. But I got married, like, my wife had immigration issues, and I was like, I'm going to put a ring on it. So I didn't say it like that.
Did you say it?
I said, girl, I'm going to put a ring on it. That's what I said. So I married her within 8 months, but we didn't have the child conversation, which is an important thing to do. And it's irresponsible of me to not have had this conversation.
Yeah.
So I also have a fear of conflict, so I have a kid. And and we have another one on the way. So my fear is coming out sideways is what's happening.
Right now you're just bubbling over.
My kid's coming in a month.
Yeah.
And so what's happening is, because I'm afraid, men are taught to push everything down.
Right.
I'm not supposed to talk about, like, I'm afraid. And what really helps is when I tell people with a second kid, I'm like, hey, I'm afraid of having a second kid. Their answer is to try to up the fear. They want to, I'll see your fear and I'll raise you.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 10 times harder than you think. You're never sleeping again. Financially, it's a wreck. Good luck to you.
But you'll be fine.
there's one particular individual who thinks it's funny. This kid walked up. He's got bite marks from his little brother. And she went to show me and is laughing and pointing.
Oh, my God.
I'm like...
So wow. Great.
Right.
Yeah.
So really, what's going on is I'm incredibly afraid.
But isn't saying it make it a little bit better?
Yeah, a little bit.
So listen, the line was there. The hole. You said you thought show business was going to fix the hole. The hole was there before show business.
Of course
then.
it was.
Okay, so where did it start?
Well, a number of things, I think. When I was so we'll go way back. We're going right to the bottom of the can. So, a couple things. My grandparents on my father's side are Holocaust survivors. Hilarious.
Wow.
And thanks for bringing that up. Jews like to bring up the Holocaust like a hot girl brings up her boyfriend, just out of you'd be like, hey, it's hot outside. Yeah, my boy, yes, it was really hot during the ovens during the Holocaust. Like we just bring it up all the time. Like hot girls would be like, she just want to let you know. Can I get the door for you? Like, my boyfriend loves doorknobs. She's like, what does that have to do with anything? I mean, anyways, so we bring it up, but it's my father's incredibly damaged from it.
Yeah, I bet.
His and they have a very so that's passed. So there's a lot of trauma sort of passed on to him, which inadvertently is passed on to me.
Sure, of course.
And they grew up poor. My father grew up poor. So my parents,
how poor?
Like, charity would come to my parents would work. There's a very deep story, but I don't know how much time we have. But basically, I'll give you the highlights.
Each episode is 6 hours.
Great. My grandmother fell alive into a ditch and her whole family was murdered, but she fell alive. My grandfather was this famous actor, a musician who could play any instrument. So he had some clout in Vilna, Poland, and he paid off the soldiers to tell him when they're invading. They told him when they were invading. None of his family believed them would leave. So he was trying to convince them they wouldn't leave. So he went to get my grandmother, waited till the soldiers got drunk and passed out, picked her up, and basically carried her across Europe and they were, every time they were on the way to the camps, he would break out of the trains and no one would jump with him.
Come on. Really?
Why would I make this up?
I'm just saying that's unbelievable. Wow.
Like they were.
Holy cow.
Yeah, they drank their own piss. They and they had a kid during this war, and the kid was killed in front of them. So
Jesus.
Yeah. So my dad's older brother was murdered in front of his mother. So when you talk about poor, they moved to Canada, and they had one cousin. All they had was like a pair of underwear and like a picture, and the cousin was like, "Hey, we're gonna bury garbage. Dig a ditch." And my grandfather was like, "I don't dig ditches," and it was, I don't know how this is kind of messed up, but he basically said, okay, I'm not working for you. And he opened up his own place and created boxes. What they would do is they would dumpster dive, and they would take stuff from the farmers and they were the original recyclers, basically.
Sure.
So my grandmother would sew the thing. My grandfather was really charming, so he would make contacts with them. And one of the ways they survived is they in line in the work camps, because they would go work camp or death camp. So if you had use, they would keep you. So they would say, I need a plumber. My grandfather, I'm a plumber. I need so in line in a different language, he would say, what are the buzzwords? So I need a stand-up comedian. He's like, I'm a comedian. And then in one of the different languages, he's like, what are the buzzwords? So a punchline, setup, segue, Steve Aarons, whatever. So so he would, for those who do not know, Steve Aarons is a bottom-feeding guy. He used to have you bring 10 friends. Anyways, so creepy guy. So anyway, so that's how they survived. So when they were poor, he would eat once every 3 days kind of thing.
Wow.
And my dad would eat every meal, but they would not eat. And then he would also give charity. So they had this very strong belief in God and all this stuff, which is very hard to believe that he would believe that. So that's how poor. But they would work 20 hours. They would sleep 3-4 hours a night, and they would work till they amassed some money.
Yeah.
And so there's a different relationship between my father has between money, because he saw what that really is like.
Right.
So that's a different. So when I grew up, they were work and money, that was a big thing. So they would work 6-7 days a week. It was like they would really work. So I was I guess we call a latchkey kid. Is that what they call it?
I mean, we had kind of were home alone a lot.
I was home alone, but I had a only Spanish speaking housekeeper from Costa Rica named Maria. And so I would answer the phone, like if someone called, because there were no cell phones. And some point, we had a really easy number, 504-283-1818, right? That was it, 1818. At some point, some dude called, heard a young voice, so I was in my formative years, 4 or 5, somewhere in there, and he started figuring out, and he would say horrible sexual things to me, and it's affected me because now when I get a call from an unknown number, I come. But I... See what I did there? I took pain and made it funny.
We'll be right back after this.
Yeah. And now a word from our sponsor. T-Mobile.
You got phone calls from
Yeah, I do. And what's been very troubling for me is processing this, right? So so I was highly aware of everything sexual by the time I was in kindergarten. I knew that.
Whoa.
Like, yeah.
Do you remember the phone calls? Like, do you still?
Yeah. I remember like he'd be like, "Who's home?" And then he told me if I told anybody that he was calling, that he would murder my family. What? And so it prolonged it because I didn't. So he's like, "You have to answer, and if you don't answer, I'm coming to kill your family. I know where you live." Now, I was too young to know that he didn't know where he lived. But at some point, the FBI came, and I remember the guy had like one of these striped like suits, and he looked like the guy from The Firm, Ed Bigley. What's his name?
Ed Bigley Jr.
Not Ed Bigley Jr.
Ed
but
Bagels.
No, the larger guy from The Firm with the glasses, and he has like one of those walrus mustaches. Anyways, that's what the guy looked like. So my parents, I think, in defense, blocked it out. Mm-hmm. They don't remember this at all. I remember it vividly. And then when I was getting into a fight with my mom about and then how that translates is that I'm super protective of my kid.
Sure.
Because I go, hey, I wasn't protected. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there was other stuff. Like there was other stuff. Like I remember there was a guy that pulled up in a pickup truck and he's like, literally like, where you going? Get in this car. If I got in, I'm done.
And you ran.
No, I just was like, I'm not getting in. It was on the highway. And it was like, I remember just like, my parents did teach me like, hey, don't get in a straight. Like they taught me a lot of skills. They did a great job of like, they were very loving. They were kind. Like they were, I didn't have a bad childhood.
Sure.
But there's enough markers where I'm like, why do I seek the approval of strangers for a living? Why am I, my mom is very into other people's opinions of her and how her perception is and that kind of thing. And so it's passed down. Like I get to see what I got that from there. My dad is very angry. A lot of that is passed down from that. Yeah. His father died. He didn't believe he was really sick. He thought it was a manipulation to get him to work in the business. And then he died. And it was and he was like, we became religious for a while. So stop interrupting me. Oh no, just kidding. So those are a lot of like markers are like, oh, okay, so this is like a good way to, I don't know if this is a spoiler alert, but I'm sure everyone's seen Succession, right? And this is actually doesn't work with the plot, but at some point there's a wedding and one of the characters, like the cake is wrong. And this dude is freaking out over he's way over the top about the cake. And it turns out that when his mom went crazy and committed suicide, they would just give him cake. So it was linked to this horrible time in his life, like cake was going to solve his problem. So when they got it wrong, he went bananas. So like I get really tweaked out by certain things that aren't necessarily, it's sort of like lack of a better analogy. Like in The Accused, those pinball machines was where the crime happened.
Yeah.
So to her, pinball machines are horrible, but they're just pinball machines.
Now, I hear what you're saying, and I think that okay, so there's a psychology called internal family systems that this guy Richard Schwartz developed, and basically what it is that at certain points we're made up of all these different parts, right? And we have to discuss we have to get in and talk to these parts and let them know, I'm not 4 years old anymore. You could punch out. At 4 years old, someone put up a guard set up camp, like a protector, to protect you inside of you. Set up a guard to say I got you. You got into survival mode. No one ever tells that dude to punch out. So for 40 or 50, 60, 70 years, a phone rings. You're like, who the fuck is this? You know what I mean? Because no one ever told that guy, I'm not 4 years old anymore. You could stop protecting me. I'm a grown man. You know what I mean? So we have all these different, at every tweak in the road where something happened, we get these protectors that get set up, right? And through this therapy, it's so interesting. You go in and you actually talk to these different parts. I tried this therapy and it was too hard. Like I wasn't ready to do it, because you got to look it in the eye and go like, it tells you like, yeah, I'm keeping you from that guy that was calling. And you got to go back and kind of feel that feeling, you know what I mean? And it's bananas. The work is difficult.
I did the thing where I went to a therapist. I haven't done a lot of therapy, but I've done some therapy, and because it's very interesting. The outside looking in, it's very easy to be like, well, you were 4 years old. And there's a part of me that really blames myself for not telling quick enough, because I just imploded at some point. And my parents were like, what is wrong with you? And it's like, dude, there's a guy called, what do you mean a guy called? And then, yeah. There's, I blame myself for that. I blame myself for answering a phone, even though I was 4 or 5, whatever. I've contacted the FBI to try to get this, because at one point, I was fighting with my parents about my kid, and my mom was like, you made this up. And then my sister remembered, and then mom was like, oh, okay, we remember now. I'm like, you didn't remember, but that was my mom's way to protect herself. I understand that, but it was let's look up the definition of gaslighting in the dictionary. I was like, why would I, what are you, it was, it was horrific. And I have a good relationship with my parents. It's not like we have a bad relationship. We haven't really had a bad relationship, but it is, it's made me think that I'm, some kind of, I'm damaged. Because my innocence was
taken.
Yeah, and then I ran around for years going well, I was almost molested, wasn't hot enough, or whatever.
So that's where humor started.
Right. So no, humor was before. I don't know when humor started. My family's always funny. But the fact is that when I talked to when they said, you were 100% molested. 100% molested. You just weren't physically. He just never got to you.
Oh, wow. That's when you went to therapy. That's what
well, that's when I went to therapy, and I threw it away it was not a thing. I never thought, it was whatever, it's nothing, and then also I also faced a lot of that's one component of why am I so dented? I feel like I'm the hole in the donut. You know what I mean? Okay, Jewish bagel, fine.
The absence
so
of...
what the hell? We send it back. But also I also that anti-Semitism is very, very I grew up where David Duke got elected, the former Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. So I would get off a bus and these 3 guys, AJ, Christian, I forgot the last one, would beat me up for killing Jesus at when I was 9 or 10. And they would throw eggs at our house during during Passover. They could see us because we had windows around our thing. So we'd be at our place, and then we'd hear, and they were they'd buy eggs to throw at our house. And I had teachers that would schedule non-makeup exams so that and the dates were Passover, Rosh Hashanah, and Yom Kippur, the dates they knew that the Jewish kids would not be in school.
Were there a lot of other Jewish kids in school?
Not many, no, but we knew them all because it was a small community.
Town.
Small town. New Orleans is a small town and a really small Jewish community pre-Katrina.
Wow,
yes.
man.
So yeah, and then Katrina happened, and all that work of not having not having as much access to my parents. We did stuff. We went on vacation. We did have a good, but there was there's a lot of I remember I'd see my dad, he'd tuck me into bed, and that was my interaction for
sure,
during the week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
And
how old were you when Katrina happened?
Oh, I was out of there. I was in New York already.
You were already here, yeah.
Yeah, but the damage it did to my parents.
Sure.
My dad aged. He aged, and it was it was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough because what happened was my parents are good people. I can, and the way they built their whole business, which is why they were so busy taking care of people.
Yeah.
We're hey, here's a loan. This is a tax that no one collects, and 100% of the banks will pocket this because nobody collects it. Technically, you put it away, but no one ever looks for it, so we just keep it. I'm not going to do that. This is a finder's fee. That means that's something to do with advertising, but we don't advertise. Blah blah blah. And they'd show them, hey, look, I saved you this. This rate is better for you, but worse for us. But I'm going to give you the better rate for you, and all you owe me is 2 friends. And they would just, and word of mouth spread like wildfire. So my parents were the small moral mortgage company, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
So then what happened is the lower Ninth Ward, they were hey, this is garbage. We want to fix this up. We want to sell you these houses subsidized. So my parents were great. We're going to buy all these low income housing. We're going to treat these people like gold. We're going to get them central air because the crime rate spikes in the summer.
Window units.
Yeah,
Is that
window
why? Because they can pop through.
They don't have window units. They don't like.
Yeah.
They can't afford it.
Got
They
it.
were like, here you go. Here's your central air conditioning. You don't have to go out and get murdered, crime, whatever.
Yeah,
happens.
close your windows, lock your.
Yeah, you can go home. And we're going to give you central. And also, crime happens a lot around the laundromat. So we're going to give you washer and dryers out of pocket.
Wow.
And we're going to fix up these houses. And then Katrina happened like 2 weeks later before they collected $1 in rent. And the insurance companies wouldn't pay out because the levees broke. So one said it was a hurricane, one say it's a flood. Technically, it's both because the levees broke. So how do you prove what was the actual cause?
Jesus.
Right? So you worked all your life and it floated away, and then you're just fighting and fighting and fighting. And then they get a water bill for like $1,000 on a property that didn't have water. So my father would go to court. He would fight it. He would get it off. And then 2 weeks later, get another water bill.
So he's literally waking up every single day,
Tortured.
jumping on the phone and
Yep.
on hold,
Yep.
going to court, dealing with
They'd fix
for
something
everybody else.
They'd get copper, wire, and so crackheads would come in or whoever, drug addicts. They would steal the copper for like a couple of hits.
Yeah,
They would
they
cause
sell it.
$100,000 worth of damage in the house for a couple of hits. So then you have to hire security. Like it was just non-stop.
So he aged like a year a day.
Ugh, yeah, it was terrible.
My God,
Yeah, it was terrible.
Is he still?
He's still around.
Is he still down there?
No, they eventually got out of. They sold I think almost everything for like, and they lost their. They eventually fixed it up, sold out everything, and then they had just bought a place in Northern Virginia before because my sister has kids and they wanted to have a place to go to.
Wow.
So that became their home, and then my mom went into like real estate. And my dad like did real estate and like insurance. Like they became, but imagine going from being the owner and like people knew who you were and you were like a big shot to like you have a boss now.
Yeah. No, I can't even.
You know what I mean?
No, I couldn't even imagine. And
Right.
that's just like.
And so yeah, a lot of her identity is wrapped up in that work.
Yeah.
So like a lot of it's like my mom's, the mid-70s. I'm like, retire.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't think she can. Like I get it. Like my identity is, wrapped up into being a licensed clown.
Licensed. You have a license?
I'm a licensed clown.
But see, do you think that drive and that work ethic, we literally go week to week? We literally go week to week, month to month, day to day sometimes, like what kind of work we have and stuff. Do you think that fuels? Is that a helper or is that a hindrance to you personally? Do you understand what I mean? Because when you have that like ethic that comes from your family, but also like we literally are never happy. We're never satisfied.
Well,
if you get 30 spots, you're like, why didn't I get 40?
Yeah, but the problem is that I'm comparing to superstars. Like my ex-roommate is flying private and doing huge theaters. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember when Kevin Hart started giving me, he was not Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
He had just moved from Philly. Everyone was like, "Oh, this guy's funny," and I was brand new at the Boston Comedy Club, and I was. I'm digitizing these things. I was not, but he could see there was funny in there.
Yeah.
And he started giving me advice, and my 18, 19, whatever, 20 some odd, no, I think I was maybe 21. My ego was so big. I was like, who does this guy think he is? Telling me. Yeah. I'll show him. Boy, am I showing him. Is he on this podcast right now? Is he on Dented Cans?
He asked to be on, but I said we had you today.
Yeah, forget him. So that's, and I kind of just, I'm going like what I can control in my business, our business, I should say, is how I treat people.
Yeah.
And my work ethic.
Yeah.
Those are my variables I can control.
You think you get that from
probably from my parents.
Looking back on that? Yeah.
Probably. I mean, my sister is a very successful lawyer.
Okay.
I self-medicated for 16 years to try to run away from all these problems. So I put a buffer between me and reality for 16 years.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the self-medication? Everything?
Yeah, mostly pot. Sponsored by CBD.
Speaking of,
yeah.
we have these amazing sour bears, 500 milligram. No,
that's why I was like, great. I know it doesn't get you high, but I don't, I go like, I traded in 16 years. And I was still performing and doing stuff, but I was, sleeping way too late. And so when I get, and I think we agree on this, when like someone just doesn't show up to their spot, their work ethic, they're just, it triggers me in a way. I'm like, dude, you can control, and whatever, when there's no consequences, then I get really jammed up.
Totally, 100%. And you and I have had those discussions where if I'm a half hour early, I'm late. I need to be an hour early. I need to be like parked with enough time to like fight a dinosaur and still get to where I'm going on time. I have to be, and I can't, I don't understand how people aren't like that. That's the thing where I get kind of tweaked a bit, is like, how could you not give a fuck?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because they're high. This specific person, and I'm not going to mention names, is self-medicated 24/7. So they're not present for their experience. So there's a buffer between, oh, I got to show up, and then also like the experience of like, well, there's no real consequences. Guess I get away with this.
Yeah.
Habitually late. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of like a rock star sort of thing. Like, you know, my heroes were dead by 33. John Belushi, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of those guys died of overdoses and were, you know, Mitch Hedberg. Like, these guys are dead, but it was kind of cool to be like, yeah, you know?
Right.
Like, you know?
Well, do you think that we do this where it's like we think the world should operate from the perspective that we have? Like, there should be a punishment for showing up late? Or is it that we're not just us, but like the world's forgiving? And we're like, no, you don't get forgiven for fucking blowing off a spot and putting all these people. Do you understand what I mean by that? Do you think it's our perception?
What I've come to learn, and when I do work on myself, is if I can continually understand that the universe takes care of the universe better than I ever could.
Right.
So it's not my job. It's not my job. Even though I want it to be my job, it's not my job.
Yeah.
Because it's self-suffering that I get bogged down. Like, look, I'm in competition with certain guys at the position I'm at. I mostly host at the Cellar. When Kirsten said, I'm going to recommend you, I think you'll really get in this way and you become invaluable, and she needs you. She doesn't need, unfortunately there's a lot of casting in our business, so she doesn't need another white guy, which is interesting. That the beginning of this podcast, I talked about how I suffered because of my religion, but I'm still categorized as like a, January 6th guy.
Are you?
I am. I had a horrible conversation with my ex-friend of 14 years, who the last time we talked, he's a super left guy. And I was complaining. One of the comics I walked in, I'm friends with her now. But when I walked in, I said, oh, I haven't met you. My name is Rich. And they said, oh, I don't have to say hi to you. You're white. And I was like, that's just an unkind thing to say in any kind of capacity.
Really?
And he defended it, saying, well, there's a lot of, and I said, I understand there's a historical, I'm not saying there's a fair system, but we're talking individual to individual. I don't present, goose-steppy, holes in the sheet. I'm not that guy.
No.
So why would you just throw me? And by the fact that you're categorizing me, that he goes, well, you're a straight, my friend's gay. You're a straight white, or my ex-friend, I say, you're a straight white guy. I said, so are you penalizing me by the basis of my skin and my sexual preference? Doesn't that feel a little hypocritical? Which means I have to do the work of going like, I have to go, hey, dude, you like Trump. That's your preference. I don't agree with it. I have to try to be as empathetic and sympathetic as that. But what does that trigger for me?
Right. Because
what does Trump trigger for me? Of all the things we talked about with the pinball machine and everything else, Trump triggers my childhood.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jews will not replace us. That my father is freaking out over that.
Of
because
course.
it's what he grew up with.
Yeah.
And there are people that just simply money is their god, and that's the most important thing. Some people go, hey, my brother's a cop and he protects cops. That's their bottom line. Before the podcast, we were talking about like, hey, the city feels unsafe. I want someone to keep it. So it depends on what people say. It's not that all Trump supporters are, racist or blah, blah. Some of them are. I mean, look, 100% of racists are Trump supporters. I could say that. there's no racists going, I like this Bernie.
Totally.
2%. Look, he's a great guy. But I'm not saying all Trump supporters are racist. I'm just saying they have different reasons for their motives, and I have to be as capable on a good day to go, all right, you think differently. But it really does. It's very hard. It's not an easy thing to do.
No.
Because it's a choice.
And because we're reactive beings, you know what I mean? Like, I think that if we were perfect, we're all imperfect, but if we were perfect, no one would have a reaction, an immediate reaction. You'd go like, I'm going to take a second and think about what you just said. Like, that would be a part of the process. I think what we all do is we react very fast. You know what I'm saying? He reacted to you unfairly. You may react to him unfairly. There's things like that happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I think what's hard for me is that it's the ghosting. It's the
yeah, of course.
Like, he came in town. We had a plan to see my son. It was the apology. He was 6 minutes away. We planned the whole day. He slept till noon or whatever. Whatever it was. Then the apology. We got down the rabbit hole. I was like, listen, man, I'm especially on social issues.
Yeah.
I'll go to the mat for your right to get married and be as miserable as straight people.
Right.
I'll go to the mat for that. I will not negotiate those things, even though I also, with my grandparents being like, they barely spoke the language. They were not victims.
Yeah.
But they also, I also think there's a system that keeps people uneducated and unmotivated.
Right.
So there's a very nuanced kind of conversation. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's not black and white, no pun intended. There's a lot of nuance. Like I was saying, like, what about if we in poor schools, which do tend to skew poor white trash and black, why don't we teach them how to become mechanics, how to become plumbers, how to become estheticians, $60 paying a job. So make it an elective so that if you have motivation and if you have some will to get out of your situation, we're going to provide you a means to graduate with real money opportunities that you can then build up enough to own your own business, to then have your own shop so that you can be not, a slave to the system.
Right.
And I've had those conversations, and the reaction has been just, and a lot of it is it's a difficult conversation, but at least I'm thinking and trying because I care.
Yeah, right. And because you care. And like you said, on a good day, you got to realize like the universe takes, that like it all, you put a lot on yourself because you care. You're compassionate. You're empathetic, right?
Yeah, like why do I care that my left-leaning friend won't talk to me after we talked every single week for, I don't know, 14, 15 years. And because I went, hey, I don't think that was okay. And what was cool was like two other guys who were of color. They immediately went, no, this guy's cool, and they defended me. Like it was.
Well, do you think that it's something that'll like maybe cure itself over time? Do you think that this thing, because I've dealt with it too a bit, where it's like you almost kind of hope you don't get to it in conversation, because if you do, someone you love and you have loved, it's like there's a 50-50 chance this is our last conversation. That's been happening a lot lately. And it's kind of this thing of like, I think right now you and I need to go our separate
I understand
ways. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think what the issue is that I didn't get the last word. So my ego's all attached to it.
Well, that's you.
Yeah.
That's not right. I got you.
So whatever work I can do around it, it's not scratching the itch.
I fucking get that.
Dude, I have crazy fantasies of wanting to be able to be like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to be right.
Have you like written a letter and then like deleted it? Have you done that type of shit?
I've done that stuff, but I've done, I haven't done that specifically. Maybe I'll try that. I have to pray for I got to do something.
Yeah.
Because they're living rent free in my head, and it's been a while.
That's interesting.
Like I'm not. I reached out for his birthday. I reached out for this. Like I reached out for future, and I was like, oh, it's gone. It's done. And it happens like, and that's a button, right? So like, there's a comic, and I figured out after one day, I just went, all right, we're like, I thought we were friends. Okay, they're just ghosting me, whatever. And then it turns out they perceive me as successful, and are jealous of me. They're like, well, you're killing it, and I'm stuck on boats. And I was like, well, what an interesting perception.
Everybody's got their perspective, and that's their reality, right?
Yeah.
And you look at them, and you may think,
well, I mean,
whatever you think.
I watched one of the biggest stars in the world, and they have a handler who their only job is to fill up their cup with pure booze while they're on stage. And I watched this dude probably drink 4 to 6, like enough to like kill a small horse.
Yeah.
Not slurred, which means he's got a huge tolerance.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I've seen it every time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this dude's gonna die of alcoholism.
Yeah.
And it's and you have the world.
and it breaks your heart.
Well, you go like, that doesn't fill the hole.
No.
It does break my heart.
Yeah, of course.
But
Because
show
you're,
business ain't gonna fill the hole. That's the whole point from the beginning that we were talking about.
well, right, of course. So he fills it with booze.
Outside, booze, all that other stuff. Yeah.
And you fill it now with
My son. Dude, hanging out with him in the park and us hiding from the monster. The monster's coming. We're under the blanket. Taking him laughing. You know, before I go to work, he goes, make the people laugh. He's not even 3.
Really?
And he's like, give me a hug, daddy. And he comes, hugs, give me a kiss. Dude, I have a video of him we're hanging out. We don't go to McDonald's often, but every now and again, it's let's go to McDonald's. Like, let's go off the reservation. And he's feeding me, but he's like doing this, like he's teasing me with the fries.
Oh, that's so
and then
incredible.
we're dancing together, and I'm like, this is pure.
Yeah.
Like, it's pure. And it's like, I know this will change. I know he's going to get to a point where it's like, shut up, Dad. Why are you breathing?
Right.
You white cis male. No, he's not going to say that. I don't know. We'll teach him that. No, but like, I'm sure at some point he's going to be like, oh, of course. So dumb. But right now, in this very moment, which is all we have is the present moment.
You're right.
Then that is like, when I'm just like there was no time from his birth till now that I was ever like, this sucks. It'll be annoying sometimes. Like the best, like if he's in a tantrum, I could just say to myself, this will stop. And I found patience I don't have. I found understanding I never had.
Okay.
You know, and I guess he's more the conduit. I don't know what God is or what the higher power is, but he's definitely the conduit to whatever the hell that is.
It's amazing because, you said that other guy is living rent free in your brain, right?
Yeah.
He's probably so loud in his apartment in your brain that the other tenants are like, yo, landlord, come spend some time with me. You know what I mean? Like your son. So if you give that guy the smaller apartment and give your son the suite on the top floor, let your son occupy more of that space in your brain. You know what I mean?
Right, but you act like it's a choice.
No. God,
Yeah.
no.
Okay, I thought it was like, oh, okay, I'll just do that, damn, Mikey.
No.
Everybody in the apartment was listing apartments. Lord, everybody, you get 1 month free, 1 month, and first and last month free.
But what if it was the real thing? What if you were a landlord, and what if one guy was being a fucking knob and bothering it for everybody else? How do you deal with that guy?
Yeah. I mean, that's what my ego, which is edging God out, you could say that. That's what's blocking me from the sunlight of the Spirit, my son. Mm-hmm. So that's the problem, right? Yeah. And I go, how do I get rid of this resentment that's blocking me? Well, I have to look at my part, which is I'm attached to his opinion of me, false God, which is why every night I'm like, approve. Mm-hmm. Hey, I talk, you laugh. See, everything's good. I talk, you don't laugh. I'm miserable. Yep. That's how my happiness is dependent on, used to be. Then I go, I have unreasonable expectations that like this guy who's in that bubble of California and doesn't live in, he may be jealous of me because I'm pursuing my dream and he gave up on it.
Yeah, you're fucking killing it too.
Not according to my head.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Not according to my head. And I have to go like I'm controlling and I'm playing God and I'm not trusting God.
Yeah.
And I'm not like this is happening for a reason, right? That's a really hard thing to accept. Getting fired from a job, you go, this is happening for a reason.
That's so hard as this is happening for a reason. Can I tell you what helped me just a little bit at like the worst time that I was having was like, I just taught myself like, wait a minute, wait an hour, wait a day, wait a like, just give a little bit of space in between. Because I would I'm someone who enjoys being disappointed because it proves that I should never trust anybody in the first place. So if I go, you said you're going to be here at 2:30 and you're here at 2:45, I'm like, yeah, see, I knew I should never have trusted him.
Well, yeah, I'm ready, fire, aim. I used to, I'd have to fire off that I'd have to be heard. It needs to be dealt with now. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, take a minute.
Dude, you got to, when I can feel the pulse in my neck beating, I'm like, this happened. This happened with a comic. I was hosting at Gotham. He was late. and didn't get, I just gave him the Comedy Central intro because it's a safe one.
Yeah.
After the show, he was like, hey, man, can I talk to you for a second? I've never been on Comedy Central. And I was like, yeah, dude, if you were here on time, your work ethic, then I would have been able to talk to you before.
Yeah.
But I'm not, I just gave you something because you weren't here on time. We didn't know if you were going to make your spot. He literally showed up a minute before I introduced him.
Yeah.
So the next week, he said, hey, man, can I talk to you for a second? I need you to be more excited when you say my name. I was like, what? What are you saying to me? I said, do you have a problem with the way I'm pronouncing your name, which is an easy name to pronounce? No, I need you to be like more enthused. Huh? And I heard my neck, and I looked at him, and I turned around and I walked away. And then he came up to me and he goes, hey, man, I was talking to him. I go, hey, man, right now I am coursing adrenaline, and I want to say or do something unkind. So you need to give me some space. Mm-hmm. We'll deal with this in a minute because it doesn't need to be dealt with now. Yeah. And he's like, and I walked away again, and I was like, if he comes again, he's going to get choked. I'm going to get violent. Yeah. And he stayed away from me. We calmed down. We talked about it like gentlemen in the best way I could, which is like, hey, man, I'm doing this a long time. I've never had this. And it sounds like he's like, why are you upset? I'm like, because you're trying to tell me how to do my job, and I'm really good at my job. Yeah. Yeah. I'm really good at pronouncing a name. Right. Yeah. I've done it a couple times. I'm a giver. I make sure if I see checks are happening, I eat those checks. Happened the other night. Comic goes, hey, man, thank you for that. It had twice in a row. Yeah. People pick up on that.
Of course.
These little things they pick up on. Of course. I give these intros when I give them excited and I want them to have a good show. I don't leave. I do a little crowd work so that it feels like it's a unique experience, and I leave the last 5 to 10 minutes in material so that it's not a heckle situation. It's a move to set up the show. Totally. You know what I mean?
Jesus. Yeah. Yeah. See, and you have that moment with your son where he's yelling or having a tantrum, and you go, this'll pass. So to me, it's like that's in there because you love him.
It's an unconditional love thing.
Yeah,
right?
I know. But also, it's there. So you know that there's that potential to walk away or to, like you did with this dude. You know what I mean? That's the hard part is like, you've done it. You know you could do it, but it's hard sometimes to.
Oh, dude, I've learned from my
hit
past.
Those breaks. Sometimes it's impossible, dude.
I've learned from Ready, Fire, Aim.
Yeah,
I've learned
it's a great way of putting it too.
Yeah, so I've learned. I go, this is not serving. I really like most of the comics. There's like one or two that I would, if they died in a fire, I'd feel bad for the fire. You know what I mean? Like, and so, I don't want to put it like extreme, but like, I just, they wronged me in a way. I've never been able to get over it. And I stay away from them. I just stay away from them. I'm professional. I try to be nice. I went, hey, if I can find some empathy and sympathy from them, going, look, hurt people. Yeah. People that are whole and complete inside don't run to the internet to try to ruin people's businesses or their lives. Right. They don't write the 1-star on Yelp when they're like, you're feeling good about yourself, you're like, oh, that was a bad day for them. Moving on to my big, bad, awesome life. You know?
Exactly.
So I try to have empathy, sympathy, like whatever they have going on. Maybe they had a bad day. Maybe they had a bad moment. But my ego just, wants to win. And it's the fight, that thing I want to smash. Yeah.
And your son has helped you do that in certain ways.
I mean, look, I'm learning to not yell at people when I'm on the bike because I get afraid. And when I get afraid, I have to protect myself. But I've lost my cool, like really bad on bikers who are going the wrong way, and we're going to collide. And unless I stop, we're going to hit. And I'm wearing a helmet and they're not. And I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah. And they're just like that smirky attitude. And then I lose my mind because I'm trying to be kind. And I'll try to explain, like, listen, if you need to break the law because it takes 2 seconds. Yeah. But again, I have unreasonable expectation that New York's not going to be New York. That people aren't going to be people. So I just have to go like, but I lost my mind. It just came poor. It happened and then it happened again. And I get so mad because I go, you're threatening my life.
Of course.
Because you can't at least go over. Like I'm hugging, you see me hugging the sidewalk.
And you clearly don't care.
And you're coming, you're like, you want to win? Yeah. But you're wrong. I had these kids, and they were like, I go, hey guys, bike coming, like as nice as I could. Ding ding, guys, bike. They saw me and they were like, and I was like, and then I had to screech, and I almost went over my handlebar. I go, what are you guys doing? Like, pedestrians have the right of way. I'm like, that's not true.
Yeah.
I said, you have the right of way on a crosswalk when there is a light. You're in the middle of the road. This is just like you're in the middle of Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
And then I lost it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I lost it.
Yeah. When you experience apathy from people about something you're passionate about.
Not dying? Yeah, I'm passionate about that.
Right, exactly. It's literally gasoline on the fire. Like, you're just like, how do you... I'm with you on that, and I understand it completely.
I think because I'm also smaller in stature, people don't realize, like...
You don't think that's like...
I'm not threatening. If I'm a 6'7", 300-pound, there's probably going to be... Like, my best friend growing up he's a big guy. People don't react to him in the same way they react to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Do you have like a fear, like when I'm afraid and when I'm feeling like really, really, like you said earlier, you're like, I'm afraid right now, right? Saying that, I thought about it this whole time we were talking about how when I'm afraid, I feel like I have like a hangover, like a fear hangover. Like, it depletes all of my energy. It makes me exhausted. It makes me physically sick. It makes me not sleep. I can't focus on things. Like, do you have those type of...
Yeah,
like,
so it amps, so it does mess with my sleep because I'm not sleeping well. It amps up my fear of failure, right? So my fear, having a kid means I got to provide, and I have to double my income. I have to double my income. Like this.
How do you double your income?
Right. When I'm like... And I used to work cruises, which was good money, but I was never home. And I don't want my kids' first words to be, "Who are you?"
Right.
So I basically stopped doing cruises,
Yeah.
but I'm not, I stopped working a lot of the road because I have a new kid coming and my wife's getting it's going to need me.
Yeah.
So I can't, I just keep saying to her, look, this is hard for me too. I'm kidding. I don't say that. I have to step out. Like she's at the, 8th grade. She can't do much, and she's making a human. So she does laundry. She's exhausted. So it's like, I got to pick him up. I got to drop him off. I got to take care. Like, I got to take care of, you know what I mean? I got to tend to the garden, which, by the way, total different generational thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, our men now, that's like being a man. Is stepping up and taking care of your family. That to me is not like, punching the biker in the face, which is what my stupid, ego wants to think.
My
dumb, it's so dumb. It's
your ego's Bart Simpson.
No, it's more like, everybody punch him.
Yeah, totally.
It's like my ego is like, ooh, get him, Smithers. You're a pussy. Can you say that word?
You can say anything you want.
It's a kitty cat. Sound effects. White Michael Winslow. Who was on Police Academy.
Yes, he was.
All right. So anyway, so that's, that's what that is. So that's, So, I mean, my goal is to, and when I'm feeling, and look, I don't know what I believe in, but I know that like, I do say before every show, I try to get a little quiet. I try to just take in some breaths. I try to quiet the noise between my ears, which is like a news ticker.
No, God.
It's all the time. And it's amped right now. It's going really fast because I'm afraid. So like, like this big network reached out and was like, hey, we're interested in the show. And this other network, because I do these crazy dance videos that I did just to make fun of TikTok. And then they kind of went viral, and then I would get messages. My sister's in hospice, and instead of being sad, we're watching your videos. And
amazing,
right? And so, immediately wrote her back, like, "Are you going to buy my T-shirt or not?" Obviously, your sister's pay up front, but I'm kidding. I don't have a T-shirt, but I did. I did get that message. I did keep in touch with that. But I get it all the time. Look, I'm having a really hard time. This brightened my day.
Yeah.
And then I have to block out the trolls.
Yeah.
Because they always have a picture. They're there, and it's always their profile picture 9 times out of 10 is a picture of a car.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's never their name. It's never their.
I fantasize about going, I want to get in there.
Yeah.
I'm going to get in there.
Give me the keys to that car.
Yeah. To there. I want to get. Hey, hi. I was looking at your profile, and I see that you're a real estate agent. Yeah, I have a unlimited amount of money, and I'd like to buy a lot of property. And then talk to him for a while. And yeah, you just don't have any personality, so I can't work with you. Click.
Done.
You know what I mean? That's what I want to do.
This is how it feels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to
Imagine
eat.
if they knew.
You know, it's like the hardest thing the best thing I've ever heard, and the hardest thing. Elie Wiesel, who wrote the book Night, who's an Auschwitz survivor.
Yes, I read that book.
So I watched when I was 16. I came to see him watch to watch him speak in Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge is ding 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 ding.
I've been there.
And
and
there was people outside saying the Holocaust never happened. 6 million, like they were protesting this guy, protesting him, and I get violent inside. And he knew what happened. And the first thing he says, the only answer is to love those people more than you love your own family. I was like, what are you saying right now?
How?
Yeah. And that's the level that I aspire to get to undent my can.
Thank you for that. That's a high level, though, dude. That's like, was it Pope John Paul II went and saw the person that shot him in prison to like forgive him in person? I believe it was. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, how? How on earth do you get to that level of like
a lot of meditation, a lot of service work, a lot of being completely look the prayer that I say before I get on stage, like I said, God, universe, karma, puppy, help me be as funny as possible so I can be of service to these people. Help me get out of my own way so I could be a maximum use to you and others. Grateful, grateful, grateful.
no shit?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's between you and me and your 4 listeners.
Yeah, this is an early one.
This is an early one. Yeah.
That's a pretty incredible thing that you do. So before you go up, you say that to yourself.
Yep. I try to lock into something that's not me because I don't write good jokes. My mouth writes. If I come up with something, my mouth is like, "Whoa, that was good."
You're great. You're in the moment. You're very in the moment.
Yeah.
Look, the greatest writers would kill for that. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
Definitely.
You
can't. Everybody doesn't have that. You know what I tried to do before I go on? I try to think of a moment where I literally hated my life. That, like, if I'm upset about a spot or if I'm upset about whatever it took to get there or why I think I should have something better or whatever, I think about, like, I worked a job literally on an assembly line where there were no windows and just a clock. And that was it. You just stared at the clock all day long. People smoked cigarettes inside the warehouse. I mean, it was brutal. And I thought about this and I was like, this can't be my life. I cannot fucking do this. Now I'm doing what I want to do. And I have to think back to then every now and then and just be like, get the fuck out of your own head, you dummy. You know what I mean? Because
can you just be nicer to yourself?
Get out of your head, good looking man.
Successful.
You got to be nicer to yourself too. Because you want to know something? You're nice to me and I'm nice to you. You notice that?
Sure.
You don't think you're nice to me?
I'm nice to you.
And do you think I'm nice to you or not really?
Yeah, I think so. A little bit.
Should I be nicer?
No. You're perfect.
All right. Did you feel good to talk about this? Are you going to walk out of here a little lighter?
No, I'm going to be in my head like, should I have told strangers about my trauma?
But why not, though? Let's talk about this before you go.
Because I'm worried that the perception of, I mean, look, I've had, I hope I didn't make my parents look bad. Because
your parents look fantastic.
Well, I said that they, some ways, didn't protect me. That's not very nice.
Well, you also talked about, from what I'm remembering, is you talked about how great they were to their community.
Yeah, they are.
And how they did so many things, and they overcame so much adversity.
Yeah.
And to grow up one generation from the beginning of what you talked about, I mean, my God. I mean, what?
All right, as long as I love my mom, I love my dad, and I love my family. I just, like, they're not perfect.
No, whose is?
Right. And they're like, compared to what like other friends are, they're great. But like, I have some damage and it's not their fault, but they, it wasn't like they put out an ad looking to molest a kid. Call 283-1818. He'll answer the phone. It's not like they did that, but it did happen. Are you looking to touch a little boy?
New to the area?
But can't get in a car? Well, just call him up and beat off.
Did you just have to relocate on purpose?
Yeah.
Man, I don't think that you said anything at all.
I mean, look, the whole goal was like, hopefully somebody could have gotten something that would help them. That's the whole goal.
All that matters.
Yeah, that's the whole goal. That's the difference between taking and giving. If I'm so me, which we see me, it's very painfully obvious, those people. Take, me, mine, me, mine.
Mine.
Yes.
But if you give,
then
Speaking from the scar, not the wound. I heard that recently.
That's good.
Speak from the scar, not the wound. Because when the wound is open, you're all fucking, you're bleeding, you're good, you're pussy, and you're whatever. But when it heals, you can go, I remember that. I remember how I dealt with it. And I survived.
Burnt to the tractor.
Burned a tractor?
Yogi Bear Park.
Come on.
Swear. Grandfather on my dad's, on my mom's side, took me to, I was having a hard time potty training. They took me to Yogi Bear Park. They said, Yogi's not going to play with you unless you poop in the toilet. And I took my first poop in the toilet, and my sister took a picture of me.
Pooping?
And my parents put it on their wall for my whole childhood.
Come on.
Me on my toilet as a little baby. As a 2, 3, as a toddler.
Your first dump face?
My first dump face. Like, adorable.
Yeah.
But mortifying at the same time.
Adorable, but mortifying.
But mortifying. And my dad, because he had no family, because they were all murdered by in the Holocaust. Thanks for bringing that up. He would buy picture frames with random strangers, and he would put it on the wall and make up stories about a cousin that didn't exist, or an uncle. Really? When he would tell people, "Oh yeah, it was my uncle, and he was in he invented the spring in the pen." You know, the spring that was his contribution. So like he would
just make up stuff.
Yeah, my parents were very funny. I mean, that's when you talk about funny. I was funny because my parents were very funny.
Yeah, no,
my grandparents were very funny.
Yeah.
Like I come from funny, like we used to roast each other. I mean, that's what we just sit around. And that's why it's very hard for me, like, you know, like I said, I do the dance on TikTok, but I want to they took away all the fun part of it, which is like everyone, you can't make fun of anybody. And I don't want to sound like, you know, but like you used to be able to do stitches and duets and like people sign up for it. Like you can turn that button off. So you have the option, like, I don't want to be made fun of, so like I'm going to turn this off.
Right.
You can do that. But if you leave it on, well, you're open.
Right. Of course. Well, listen, I know that things that you talk about, people are going through it. And that's what's important. You got to hear other people go through it, and you go, yeah, I'm not alone.
We have a hotline for those who need to know. It's 504-283-1818.
Ask for the little boy.
Ask for the little boy. And say it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Not your fault. Hey, look at me.
It's not your fault.
It's not your fault.
Yeah, man. All right.
Hey. Look at me. It's not your fault.
Oh, look at you.
Hey.
Yeah.
Look at me.
We represent. Oh, yes.
It's not your fault.
It's Mr. Happy. Hey.
I'm going to go see about a girl.
Yeah.
Use my line.
Fucker, used my line.
Son of a bitch.
I think that was improv. I really wish I got to meet him. That's the only celebrity death that has really affected me.
I really wish I got to meet him too.
And I've missed him like 10 times, where I was just right before he left I left right like 2 minutes early.
Our friend Jessica had a pretty amazing experience.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome. She was at the cellar.
Yep.
And he was watching from the back of the room laughing.
I just talked to her about it. She was like, she's so funny. She's like, that was like 15 years ago. Like she watered down the story. Val told me the story. Val's one of the managers, and she's performing, and she's like, there's some guy cackling in the hall, and she can't figure out. And she's like, what is that noise? And she gets off stage, and it's Robin Williams, and he's going, you're a star.
Yeah.
You're a star. You're a star. And I do bringer shows with Steve Aarons.
Tell everybody where they can find all things you.
Rich is funny. It's one word. I'm on Instagram is where I have the most fun. I'll do the crazy dances on TikTok, although I'm really not liking TikTok these days. I really don't like TikTok. But I'm doing it. I do the fun dances. I put on crazy outfits. I show up in public unannounced. I start playing music through a speaker. People are annoyed. They're ignoring me, or they join in. And people love it. It's just a little package of joy. I do most of my fun characters and stand up on Instagram, which is Rich is Funny. It's one word. Follow me. You'll be better off for it. It's free.
It's free.